gem from MM. Mickey about to drop a gem. 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 Here comes a gem. Here comes a gem. Here comes a gem from MM. Mickey about to drop a gem. Mickey about to drop a gem. Mickey about to drop a gem. Okay, now listen up.
What's up, guys? It's Mickey, and welcome back to another episode of Blank Canvas. All right. How is my BK fam feeling? Hope amazing, excellent, swell. I don't know what it is. It seems like I cannot get out that intro at all any more smoothly as I used to. But what's up, guys? I missed you. I hope you guys are doing great. Let's just jump into this week's episode. Oh, before we do, I hope you guys really enjoyed last week's episode. I kind of have a little update. On that. So we talked about tithing and we talked about God providing and just trusting him for the daily bread. Well, let me tell you, I did it again. I have been trying to get back in a rhythm to be disciplined and to be obedient with my tithing. And he shows up and shows out. And I told you it's not always in like a money payment. Sometimes it's literally in just meeting the needs or whatever I needed met at that particular time or within a certain time frame before the deadline. I'll tell you that, before the deadline. And sometimes when we panic and worry, I'd be like, oh, you didn't provide in enough time. That wasn't meant for you. Okay. Or his deadline may not be the earthly deadline. Okay. So say you are trying to pay something or you're trying to get something, you'd be like, but they said I have to have this amount of money by this amount of time, right? And the deadline comes and goes. And you're like, God, where you at, big homie? Where you at? You told me you meet all my needs. Daily bread. Do you remember that? Daily bread, God. And then he's like, girl, relax. I got you. Their timeline wasn't my timeline. Okay. Did you even ask me what the timeline was? And I'd be like, oh, I didn't. So let me get in my place. Let me mind my business and let me trust you. And we all know that trusting him is easier said than done. But I just want to say that he showed up and showed out again. And I'm very, very grateful because there were some things that I was like, oh, okay, this amount of funds won't be here when I need it for this, and this. How am I going to provide and how am I going to do this? And he made a way where I could go ahead and put something to the side in advance for something else. And I was like, okay, all right, this is how we'll do it. And then still be able to get what I needed done that day. So again, paying my tithes. And it's not about, first of all, the 10% goes to him anyways. I'm not finna repeat the whole episode. Please go back and listen to it. I think it will be helpful and insightful. It's not a full-blown lesson on tithing. I mentioned in the episode, it's just my real life experience in like, I don't even want to call it a crash course, but just like a crash intro class. That's what it was. And I just want to give an update and say that he's still doing it. But let's jump into this week's episode, okay? So something else, I don't want to word this. I have no idea how to word this. Okay, I had to pause for a second and pray in real time just because I want this message to come out to you guys correctly. And it still may be slightly all over the place, but the Holy Spirit has been known to work fast and intercede on my behalf. So thank you, Holy Spirit, for that. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I'm going to try my best. So try to follow along with me if you guys can, okay? When it comes to, let's start here. When trust is broken, it can be very hard to gain back. I forgot the saying that Pastor Mike from TC says, but it's like trust is lost in gallons and then gained back in like tiny droplets. He said it much cooler, but I thought the imagery behind that was very powerful. When someone breaks your trust, and all of us have done it to each other, when someone breaks your trust, it is lost in gallons. Okay, that's a lot of liquid. It's lost in gallons, but it's gained back in tiny droplets. And there's a lot of things that can be done to regain trust that I didn't take the time to make a bullet point list for you guys because that's not exactly where I was going. I wanted to speak from a more like real life kind of thing. I have been like me, because I am a runner and once I'm done, I'm done. I never really have to work through a rebuilding phase, and everything takes work. Good relationships take work. Bad relationships are obviously going to take work. mid relationships, they do take work, but how much effort are we really put into the mid ones? Okay, I'm just saying, all of them take work. However, I think rebuilding is something that is very, very new to me and very, very different, because I have been in situations where there was no point to rebuild at all. I have been in positions where one party wanted to rebuild with me and I didn't want to rebuild with them. I have been in positions where I have attempted to rebuild and the other party did not want to reciprocate and rebuild with me, you know? So I have so many thoughts and different wounds when it comes to rebuilding in general. I have attempted to rebuild relationships and have been burned in the process and felt like I wasted my time. And I'm not gonna lie, it has halted me in some instances when it comes to rebuilding in general. And then they also don't talk about how hard it is, okay? Because everything is daily. What I will say, a tip to do it, lots of prayer, lots of prayer, and definitely consistency and open communication. Open communication regardless, but the consistency is also key, because life will throw situations that will test you very easily. We're also human, and all of us fall back into our natural patterns. Like, maybe we're all on a good path for a minute. Especially, think about it from the perspective of rebuilding, right? Holy Spirit, help me get this out the way that I'm trying to explain, because I want this to be helpful to everybody, but relatable. Put it in a way where it's relatable. God, help me. How am I trying to word this? Okay, think about in the rebuilding phase, right? In the beginning, it's like, oh my goodness, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, this, and this. Okay, how did I hurt you? This is how I hurt you. Okay, cool. Well, I hurt you this way. Well, I'm going to be intentional about not hurting you this way, this, and this. Oh, cool. This is what needs did you need to get met? This is the needs that you need to get met. These are the needs that I need met. Okay, cool. I'm going to be intentional about making sure that these needs are met, right? There's a different level of just discipline and intentionality when everything first hits the fan, right? And it's because you're hyper aware. But then it's very easy for all of us to slip back into our patterns, slip back into our routines. And when I say all of us, I do mean all of us. So I felt like I noticed something where it seemed like certain behaviors and different things were reappearing. And two things. Here's something that I want to talk to about my girlies really quick. Guys, I don't think y'all may understand, but listen. Still stick around and listen just to try to be able to understand. Hopefully this can help you understand your girl a little better. The week before, or like the week that your period is on the way, I have seen multiple women talk about how they have to, especially if they're in relationships where they have to tell their brain, don't break up with him. 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 And it's like, it's a thing, right? Now, I'm not going to necessarily say mine is that. I notice I'm more, it's not just sensitive. Some of it is sensitivity, right? I mean, that's just the hormones doing their thing. But I'm also more hyper aware. And this is one of my patterns that I've been paying attention to. When my period is on the way, and I got to take the time to research and see if there's any like psychological things or factors behind it and all that kind of stuff. Is it just the hormones? What? I haven't dived deep into it. I'm just real time. Where I am more not just sensitive to certain things, but I'm more hyper aware. But it's crazy how I'm more hyper aware of the negativity and not the positivity. Can any of my ladies relate to that? Like, do you still see the good that other people are doing? Yes, but it's also like the the things that probably would trigger you, you're more aware of. The patterns that kind of got you into the situation where you are, where you had to work on rebuilding, you're more aware of. And I've noticed that that's been happening a lot with me lately. Like, I'm more tuned in. So it's almost like when that time is coming up, I feel more distant. I feel less trusting. It's almost like I'm looking for the fuck up, like it's weird. And I do want to dive deeper into that, but it's weird. So I'm going to take some time to do some research, and I'm also going to pray and ask God about it, because I also think it's also the perfect opportunity for the enemy to start playing with your thoughts, emotions, and minds. And it don't take much. All it takes is a little bit of doubt. Don't we remember? It does not take much at all. So when you are going through these things, right, let's look at it from this perspective, right? If my pattern, which, hey, we all have different patterns. If one of my patterns are around this time of the month, I'm more prone to look for the negativity than the positivity, and I'm aware of it, it's my job to make sure that I actively try to replace that pattern with something that's healthier and better, right? So first of all, you have to become aware. Second of all, once you become aware, you have to try to replace it or work on, and call it out. First of all, see why you think this way, or why do you feel this way? Okay, this is happening. And the reason I say be proactive with trying to replace it with a positive pattern or a different habit, and really try to cut it off, because in a rebuilding phase, you don't want to keep going in circle and circle and circle. And some days it's going to feel like that. You're going to be like, okay, we feel like we're going in circles today, but that's just what it is in the rebuilding process. But you also don't want to keep yourself stuck in certain places and cycles that can be broken, right? Like, rebuilding is hard enough. If there are some that we can go ahead and break off from the jump, I think we should do that, right? So there's that. And I also feel like the enemy, if he knows that, hey, on schedule, on clockwork, she's going to be looking for this, this, and this, I think he knows, and I'm making it easy for him to put certain things that I would see, and certain reactions and different behaviors, or tweak certain moments slightly, just slightly, where it's enough doubt to get in my brain to be like, wait, what? Or did I miss something? Or you remember, like, the enemy talks to me like this sometimes. Like, do you really trust them? Oh, you remember what happened last time. You remember they were being good to you and still harming you all at the same time. Do you remember they would literally smile in your face but still be plotting behind your back? Do you remember how they said they loved you, but then they showed you the complete opposite, right? Like, things of that nature. And if the enemy can give one of those thoughts or multiple thoughts like that, it can creep into us. It can creep into our minds. It can creep into our hearts. And then it changes our character and our behavior. And it can hinder the rebuilding process. Now, again, I said this episode wasn't for tips and tricks, because that's not what I'm here for today. I'm really just here more to acknowledge the fact that this can happen, and to make you guys aware, so that if this is happening to you, or it's happening to someone point that out to them gently, with love. Okay? Don't point that out and be like, you're so stupid. Don't point that out and be like, you're so freaking insecure. How can you feel this way? Open communication is a big deal. It's important, it's key, and not just communicating back and forth, but really listening to the other side, really trying to hear the other side. Every day in the rebuilding phase won't be perfect, but sometimes I feel like in the rebuilding phase, you're tested. I don't know if you're tested more or you're tested differently, right? Because now there's a foundation of distrust there, because you're already trying to build the trust again. Now there's some lies. There's some cracks in your foundation, right? I can list off a whole bunch of factors, but we'll say it short way. There's some cracks in the foundation that can literally just change the way you look at a person, you think about a person, and how you maneuver as a person. I always say that I hate being in positions where I have to show less of me, or I have to show less love. Like, what's even the point? I don't get the point. Like, if I'm around you and I can't love you out loud the way that I want to, what's the point? What is the freaking point? Or if I'm around you and I distrust you and I'm gonna punish you, like, what's the point? Because again, that's not fair to me, that's not fair to you, it's just not fair. And then I have a lot of questions of what is the point. But when I start to get there, I have to ask myself, is this me? Did this other person really do something? Am I being triggered? Are they doing something that can lead to something else? Am I being triggered? You know what I mean? And I will say this. You're not locked in, but I would say once you make up your mind to rebuild, don't teeter-totter on the seesaw. Okay? Isn't that the one that go back and forth? Don't do that. Make up your mind and then lock in. Now, does that mean you never have the option to walk away? Absolutely not. Nobody is held hostage. We're not each other's property, okay? Technically, we belong to God, and even He is a gentleman, doesn't force us. So we're not each other's property. It's not like to love in a possessive way, right? It's more like if you decide that you want to rebuild, lock in. Lock in. Don't be teetering on, okay, well, they messed up, so I'm out. Or this one thing went wrong, so throw the whole rebuilding phase away. You're going to have ups and downs. That's the point. You're going to have ups and downs. But you need to be heavy in your word and heavy talking to God. Talk to God more than you talk to anybody else. Seriously. Talk to God more than you talk to anybody else about it. For the simple fact of you're asking for a million other opinions of other humans with their own experiences, right? When the one who will give you the best guidance and the truest guidance and the purest guidance with the best intentions is the one who created us. Point blank, period. And then after God gives you some instruction or He reminds you and show you different things in whichever way He's going to speak to you, because He can speak to you in a multitude of ways, then it's on you to actually implement that, right? You have to actively work against your negative thoughts. You have to actively work against your trust issues. And it's hard. You have to actively work against the things that may have triggered you before. That's like, okay, if we're really going to try, I can't allow that to be a constant. Or if you have a fallback, we don't have time to sit here and dwell in the mistake forever. Let's talk about it. Let's move forward. Let's figure out how to never let it happen again. Now listen, if certain behaviors and patterns keep repeating, like it's cycle after cycle after cycle, I will remind you guys are not, you don't have to stay in something that is never ever changing. But if somebody is willing to put in the effort, and if you are willing to put in the effort, right, rebuilding is absolutely possible. But I'm basically just here to remind you that it's not perfect. It will not be perfect. So you just kind of have to give yourself grace, give the other party grace, communicate with each other, listen to each other, and then figure out a healthy way to really get the needs met, if the need can even be met. Some needs can't be met by even the person that you want them to be met by. Some needs can only be met through the Father. Point blank, period. Some feelings can only go away by talking to God about them, by working with God through them. Point blank, period. Okay? Sometimes the only way you can figure out is by asking Him, God, show me how to love your son. God, show me how to love your daughter. They're your sons and daughters before they are anything to us. Whatever relationship, whether it's romantic, friendship, partnership, anything. Before they are any of that to us, they are your son and daughter first. Lord, show me how to love them in the way that I'm supposed to love them. Show me how to speak to them in the way that I'm supposed to speak to them. And not just by being kind, but in a way that will penetrate their minds, okay? Where they don't feel like they have to be defensive, where they feel loved, where they feel seen, where they feel heard and understood. Come on, BK fam. Did we forget what we're here for? That's our goal, to try to be safe. Be safe enough for somebody to be able to show all their flaws and everything and still be loved through them. Be safe enough to where someone does talk to us, they let their guard down so we can really see the real them. Be safe. Be safe, be safe, be safe. But all of that takes work. And then that's a biggie. When you're in the rebuilding phase and trust is lost and safety is lost, oh my goodness, it is tough to rebuild, but it's vital. It's vital. We all know how vital it is, because what true relationship is there, especially deep and meaningful and impactful, if there is no safety? Right? So I think what I want to remind you guys is that it will take work in the rebuilding phase, and you'll have some good days and you'll have some bad days. But I just want you to check yourself. Everybody, we're doing the work this week on ourselves, okay? So if you are in a rebuilding phase with someone or multiple people, right, and you're trying to be intentional, I want you to reflect on what triggers you. Okay, I want you to reflect on how often are you triggered by this? Is there a certain time when you're triggered by this? Find your pattern. Find your pattern so you can break it down to the core and so it can get better, or at least attempt to get better, okay? That's the goal. And I want to end with this prayer card because I haven't ended with a prayer card in a while. And this is from 1 John 4:18. And it says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." Jesus made us perfect in love. He did not give us a spirit of fear, right? And so when we are fearful, is it understandable? Yes. But do we need to work actively and proactively against that spirit of fear? Absolutely. Well, he didn't give us a spirit of fear. But of the feeling of fear? Yes. 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 Because when we're fearful, we move different. When we're fearful, we love different. When we're fearful, we're closed fists. When we're fearful, we have walls up. When we're fearful, we are smaller. We shrink. Okay? We do less than. We show up less. And who wants that? When we are loved properly and healthily, we are louder and prouder in a good way. Bold. We are, we're just bigger. We show up better, not only for ourselves, but for each other. So ask yourself, what do I fear? I'm triggered by this because it reminds me of this in the past. And while we're in the rebuilding phase, my fear is that this behavior will continue. My fear is that this will lead to something else. My fear is that this will be the ultimate final straw. Whatever it is for you, call it out. That way you can work it out, not only with God, but with God and whoever you're trying to rebuild with. Because you can't rebuild without him. It's impossible. Because again, trust is lost in gallons and it's gained back in droplets. And once the trust is gone, the safety is gone, and it just leads to a slew of other issues. But if you feel like it's worth the rebuild, lock in. Don't be seesawing back and forth. Lock in. And really, 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 everybody involved, apply yourself. But please let Jesus lead the way, please. And so I hope that was insightful and it was helpful. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see what we talk about next time. All right, guys. Bye.
Topic, yeah, but we gon' talk about something on the mental, on the mind, weighing heavy. Society with the levies, kinda deadly. Silent killer, hard to daddy. Most killers had no daddy. Sadly, that's just what it be in my community. We got no unity. Dark skin wanna ruin me. I'm speaking fluently, so just listen. Blank canvas, blank canvas, blank canvas.